The automotive world is entering a serious turning point as new EU right-to-repair laws begin to challenge how supercar manufacturers control repairs, parts, and technical information. And this is now directly connected to some of the most advanced and expensive cars ever made, including Bugatti models like the Chiron and Veyron, where owners and independent builders are starting to question whether manufacturers should still have full control after a car is sold, especially when real-world repair cases show that skilled independent teams are now capable of rebuilding extremely complex machines without factory support. And this growing tension is not just legal or technical, but also emotional and financial because it affects collectors, creators, and builders who invest huge money and time into restoring damaged hypercars. While companies argue that their systems are too advanced and safety critical to be handled outside official environments, creating a deep conflict between control and freedom in modern car engineering, the center of this growing debate are real situations involving independent automotive creators such as Mat Armstrong and collector builder Mark McCann, who have both found themselves dealing with major challenges involving Bugatti vehicles. Where Armstrong became known for attempting a full rebuild of a heavily damaged Bugatti Chiron that many believed could only be repaired with factory support, while McCann faced a different but equally difficult situation with a Bugatti Veyron gearbox failure that required expensive replacement and complicated communication with the manufacturer. And both cases together highlight a larger issue where independent builders are pushing boundaries using modern tools like 3D scanning, CNC machining, and advanced fabrication, while manufacturers maintain that their cars require specialized environments, trained engineers, and strict repair control, leading to a situation where both sides strongly believe they are right, but neither fully agrees on where the limits should be. The EU right-to-repair laws are designed to shift this balance by giving owners and independent workshops more access to repair data, parts availability, and technical information. And while these laws were originally created for everyday consumer products and standard vehicles, they are now starting to influence conversations about high-performance cars as well, raising questions about whether even ultra-expensive hypercars should be included in the same open repair philosophy, because from one side it seems fair that buyers should have full freedom to repair what they own, but from the other side manufacturers argue that hypercars are not normal machines, and instead are highly sensitive engineering systems where even small mistakes can lead to serious damage or safety risks, which is why companies like Bugatti often restrict access to certain components and repair procedures, believing that only factory-trained specialists in controlled environments should perform deep structural or mechanical work on these vehicles, in the case of the Bugatti Chiron rebuild. The situation became widely discussed because Mat Armstrong and his team took on a severely damaged hypercar that was initially considered extremely difficult to restore without manufacturer involvement. Yet instead of receiving full cooperation from Bugatti, they were largely left to work independently, which meant sourcing parts through alternative methods, scanning damaged components digitally, recreating structural parts using CNC machining, repairing radiators and mounting systems through specialist fabrication, and rebuilding complex systems step by step without official factory guidance. And this process showed how modern independent engineering has evolved to a level where skilled builders can reverse engineer and restore highly advanced machines using a combination of technology, experience, and problem-solving ability, challenging the idea that only manufacturers can safely handle such vehicles, while also raising concerns from the manufacturer side about quality control, long-term reliability, and legal responsibility if something goes wrong after an independent rebuild. The moment the rebuilt Chiron successfully started and ran again became a symbolic point in this entire debate because it demonstrated that even a hypercar with extreme performance and engineering complexity could be brought back to life outside official factory systems. And this outcome gave strong arguments to supporters of right-to-repair laws who believe that ownership should include full freedom to repair and restore products without unnecessary restrictions, while at the same time it created concern among manufacturers who argue that a successful rebuild does not automatically prove long-term safety or durability under extreme conditions, meaning that although the car may function, the question remains whether it can perform consistently at the same level as a factory-restored vehicle. And this uncertainty is exactly what makes the debate so intense, because it is not only about whether repair is possible, but whether it is officially acceptable, safe, and sustainable in the long run. Meanwhile, The situation involving Mark McCann and his Bugatti Veyron adds another layer to this discussion, because unlike the Chire and Rebuild story which focused on restoration success, this case highlights the frustration of ownership when a critical component, like the gearbox, fails and replacement costs reach extremely high levels, estimated around hundreds of thousands of dollars, while the system itself is designed in a way that makes internal repair almost impossible due to sealed engineering and proprietary design. And this creates a situation where owners are fully dependent on manufacturer support not only for parts, but also for accurate diagnosis and official repair pathways. And when communication becomes slow or unclear, increases frustration even further, because the owner is left waiting without clear answers, which raises concerns about transparency, service accessibility, and how much control a manufacturer should retain after selling such a high-value machine. When both the Chire and Rebuild and the Veyron gearbox situation are viewed together, they form a bigger picture of how modern hypercar ownership is becoming increasingly complex, where on one hand independent builders are proving that advanced repairs are possible outside factory environments using modern technology and engineering creativity, while on the other hand manufacturers are warning that these vehicles require controlled conditions, expert training, and strict procedures to ensure safety and performance integrity. And this clash between independence and control is exactly what the EU right to repair laws are beginning to influence, as regulators try to balance consumer rights with engineering safety standards. And as this debate continues to grow, it is likely that the future of supercar repair will not be fully controlled by either side alone, but instead shaped by a new middle ground where manufacturers may need to open more access while still maintaining certain safety boundaries, ultimately redefining what ownership really means in the world of high-performance automotive engineering. Building on this conflict, the biggest shift coming from the EU right to repair movement is not just about giving access to parts, but about changing the entire structure of how modern vehicles are supported after sale, because for decades high-end manufacturers have built systems where diagnostics, repair tools, software access, and even basic component replacements are tightly controlled, meaning only official service centers or approved partners can fully work on the vehicles. And while this model was designed to protect engineering integrity and brand reputation, it is now being questioned more strongly as independent. Builders continue to show that advanced repair work is possible outside factory systems, especially when modern technology like digital scanning, 3D modeling, and precision machining is available to skilled teams who understand mechanical systems at a deep level. And this is creating a slow but steady pressure on manufacturers to rethink how much control they should realistically maintain once a vehicle has been sold to a customer. At the same time, manufacturers like Bugatti continue to defend their approach by emphasizing that hypercars are not comparable to standard production vehicles, because models like the Chire and Veyron operate at extreme performance levels where small errors in assembly or calibration can lead to major safety risks. And from their perspective, restricting access is not about limiting ownership, but about preventing dangerous mistakes and ensuring that every repair meets strict engineering standards, especially since these vehicles are capable of speeds and forces far beyond normal road cars, which means that even minor structural or software inaccuracies could potentially affect stability, braking, or drivetrain reliability. And this argument becomes even stronger when considering the complexity of components like multi-clutch gearboxes, carbon fiber structures, and highly tuned aerodynamic systems that require factory-level calibration tools and testing environments to verify proper function after any repair work. However, what makes the current situation more controversial is that independent builders are no longer just hobbyists or small workshops, but highly skilled engineers and content creators who document their entire rebuilding processes publicly, allowing millions of viewers to see how damaged hypercars are taken apart, analyzed, and rebuilt step by step. And in the case of projects involving Mat Armstrong, this transparency has played a huge role in changing public perception, because viewers can see real evidence of parts being repaired, structures being recreated, and complex systems being successfully reassembled without factory involvement, which directly challenges the idea that such work is impossible outside official environments. And this visibility has turned individual repair projects into global case studies that influence public opinion about right to repair laws, ownership rights, and manufacturer responsibility. That on the other side of the spectrum, Cases like those involving Mark McCann show a different reality where ownership of a hypercar can become frustrating when critical components fail and access to support becomes slow or unclear, especially when high-cost parts like gearboxes are involved. Because even though the engineering behind these systems is extremely advanced, the lack of clear communication, delayed responses, or limited repair options can leave owners feeling stuck between expensive replacement decisions and uncertain repair pathways. And this creates tension not only financially but also emotionally, because for many collectors these cars are not just machines but personal investments, passion projects, and symbols of achievement, making any repair delay or uncertainty significantly more stressful. As these two contrasting experiences continue to spread online, they are shaping a broader global discussion about what modern car ownership should actually mean, especially in a world where technology is advancing rapidly and vehicles are becoming more software-driven and complex. Because unlike older mechanical cars that could be repaired with basic tools and mechanical knowledge, modern hypercars rely heavily on encrypted systems, proprietary diagnostics, and tightly controlled data access, which makes independent repair more difficult but not necessarily impossible. And this gap between manufacturer control and independent capability is exactly where the right to repair debate is becoming most intense, since regulators are now trying to decide how to balance innovation protection with consumer freedom in a way that does not compromise safety, but also does not lock owners into restrictive ecosystems. Ultimately, the future direction of this conflict will likely depend on how manufacturers, regulators, and independent engineers respond to each other over time, because if right to repair laws continue to expand, companies like Bugatti may be required to provide more structured access to repair information and parts under controlled conditions, while still maintaining strict safety standards. And at the same time, independent builders will likely continue to improve their methods using advanced tools and digital engineering techniques, gradually narrowing the gap between factory and aftermarket capabilities, which means the automotive world is moving toward a new era where ownership, repair rights, and engineering control will all need to be redefined in a way that reflects both technological progress and practical safety requirements, making this not just a legal issue, but a fundamental shift in how modern supercars will be maintained, repaired, and understood in the future. As this debate continues to develop, one of the most important long-term effects of the EU right to repair movement is likely to be a shift in how manufacturers design their future hypercars. Because instead of building systems that are completely sealed and heavily restricted, companies may gradually move toward a more modular and service-accessible approach, where certain components can be replaced or repaired without requiring full factory intervention, while still keeping the most sensitive performance systems protected. And this kind of compromise would allow manufacturers to maintain control over safety-critical engineering, while also giving owners more practical repair options, especially for expensive components that currently require full replacements. And although this transition would not happen overnight, pressure from regulators, customers, and independent engineers is slowly pushing the industry toward more openness, especially as cases involving complex rebuilds and failed components become more visible online and gain public attention. At the same time, the role of independent builders is becoming more powerful than ever before, because creators like Mat Armstrong are not only repairing cars, but also educating millions of viewers about how these systems actually work, breaking down complex engineering processes into understandable steps, and showing that with enough skill, patience, and modern tools, even extremely damaged hypercars can be restored to working condition, which directly challenges a long-standing belief that only factory environments can handle such machines. And this shift in perception is important because it influences how the public views ownership rights, repair restrictions, and manufacturer authority, especially when people see real-world examples of success outside official systems, making the right to repair debate feel less theoretical and more practical in everyday terms out on the other side. Experiences involving Mark McCann highlight the ongoing challenges that come with owning ultra-rare and highly complex vehicles, where even a single failure in a major system like a gearbox can lead to massive repair costs, long waiting times, and uncertainty about the best path forward, especially when communication with manufacturers is slow or unclear. And this situation shows that while hypercars are engineering masterpieces, they also come with ownership limitations that are very different from normal vehicles, because the repair ecosystem is tightly controlled and often depends heavily on manufacturer cooperation, meaning that owners are not just buying a car, but also entering a highly managed support system that may not always respond quickly or flexibly when problems arise. When these two realities are compared side by side, they reveal a deeper tension in the automotive industry between innovation control and user freedom, because manufacturers argue that strict repair systems are necessary to protect performance, safety, and brand integrity, while independent engineers argue that modern tools have already reduced many of the technical barriers that once justified such restrictions. And this disagreement is becoming more visible as technology advances and more complex vehicles enter the market, creating a situation where both sides are constantly pushing against each other, with regulators stepping in to try to find a fair middle ground that allows innovation to continue, while also ensuring that ownership rights are not overly restricted after purchase. In the end, the story of Bugatti, the EU right to repair laws, and the real-world experiences of build-your cases like these become public. The pressure on manufacturers continues to grow, especially when viewers see successful independent rebuilds that challenge long-held assumptions about what is possible outside factory systems. And this creates a ripple effect where not only enthusiasts, but also regulators begin to question whether current restrictions are still justified in a world where engineering tools are far more accessible and powerful than they were even a decade